fingertips above the water. You watched me drown. You could have saved me, but you let me down, yeah.
How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, bro.
Good to see you. I'm glad you're back. Thank you for your patience. We had some scheduling gymnastics to do all on my accord.
No, we didn't.
It was just tough.
No, we didn't.
We don't date these shows generally, but it's the Christmas season here in 2019.
Right. There you go.
And we're jamming a bunch of shows in here. But good to see you. Last time I checked in on you, I couldn't reach you because I wonder what the hell you were doing. And next thing I know, you're like in Nebraska.
Yeah.
So what the hell you been doing?
We traveled a lot this year, which is good.
Yeah,
a lot more than last year.
That's an understatement.
So we're just trying to get out there and share the music, and it's cool because people keep inviting us back. So it's been fun.
Well, the last time you were in, we talked a lot of things. You at the time had just kind of written a song for our good friends Devin with Rough Creek.
Yeah.
But you had at that time, I don't think we talked about it. I don't think at that time. I think it was
I think it was.
Did we? Or we couldn't.
I think we were talking about the start of it, and we just had
Got it.
Ready Set Life just came out,
right?
And
right.
Which has been great. I think that song's been doing really well for us. So.
Absolutely. And Aluminum Cans was the song.
Aluminum Cans was the song.
Excellent song.
Thank you, brother.
Excellent song. And hell of a video. The video that they did was
too.
Great. Were you there for that too?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was
excellent stuff. And of course, Devin's a gem. By Rough Creek, Aluminum Cans, written by Mr. Frank Vieira.
Yeah.
So the reason that all kind of surprised me was the last time we spoke, and it was the first time we had met too. So we were both a little bit guarded, probably on the show, but I didn't get the sense at all that you were going to just go out and hit the road. Well, I mean, hit the road. I mean, hit the road. Hit the fucking road. You got out of town.
Yeah, man. We're really fortunate. We've been able to do a lot of cool stuff. My band's awesome, and everybody we work with is awesome. We have a great booking people and in a couple different locations, and it's been pretty awesome. So Tracy and Kenny have been hooking us up with some shows, and life has been pretty cool. So.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me the entire tour. Did you start going west?
Well, so we, being from Pittsburgh, we kind of do less of a tour, and we do one-off weekends. And
is that how it was done? Okay.
We kind of hop around. We were down in Virginia a couple weekends ago. We went out to Nebraska, played in Chicago.
And now Nebraska's not your typical weekend jaunt.
No, it was long, man. It was long. It was long. We had fun. We had a lot of good times, and thanks to Glenn who drove us out there and put up with all our shenanigans. So
was it a straight? Did you guys go straight shot?
So we stopped in Chicago. We played a show in Chicago,
okay.
And then played a couple shows in Nebraska, and then headed home.
But it was Nebraska back to Pittsburgh was a straight shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a haul.
Yeah, it was about a 20-hour Sunday. So
one day.
Good. One day, man. That's what it's all about.
Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of photos have surfaced from those gigs, and crowd size pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been really cool because we have this great opportunity to play for rooms that are pretty special. The venue in Nebraska was great, and down in Virginia out Sidewinders, it's been nice to get into these rooms that a lot of your heroes go play.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty neat to see, and people have been really responsive to what we're doing. So it's been a good year, and hopefully next year will be another good one. So.
Yeah. So nice. So let me ask you this: when you were halfway through 19, did you see how it was going to end, or did you just come at you pretty quick?
It's been a busy year. I think it's been it's a lot busier than I think I expected it to be.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where you hope things like that happen and plan for them, and when you have opportunities, you kind of gotta run with it. So that's what we've been doing, and it's been fun. It's been nice to see. It's been nice to see people singing back songs that are our own in different parts of the country. So.
Yeah, that has to be the ultimate reaffirmation, right?
It is, man. We we were up in Syracuse, New York at Turning Stone up there.
Mm-hmm.
They have a cool country bar called Tin Roof, and man, I'll never forget it because I was like, I don't really, my mom and dad came out because we're like 3 hours away or whatever it is, and that was cool. So I know they're there, and then all of a sudden, like, we're playing the first original of the night, and I look around and there's like 5 or 6 people just singing, and I was like, oh, all right, this is good. This is, and that's what you want. If you're putting out original music, you want people to come to your shows expecting to hear those songs and wanting to hear those songs, and that makes it worth it. So
last time we were here, we spoke like I do with most artists that come on there. I get their takes, their opinions on the current environment for marketing your music.
Yeah.
And you were the first artist I had at that stage where you actually enjoyed.
I do.
And we're going to get into that a little bit. You enjoy streaming. You enjoy the download distribution. You enjoy that because your take on it was that it's great to be able to expose your music to as many people as possible. Is that
Right.
correct?
Absolutely.
Can you expound on that for me?
Yeah. So for me, and I understand like the folks who are frustrated with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I totally get it. Like, our revenues cut in like a penny, which is really frustrating. But the counter to that is, and the way I look at it is, there's never been a more even playing field for everybody to compete, where if you believe in what you're doing and you're putting out a quality product and you keep putting out a quality product, eventually there's going to be enough ears that hear it. And I think last time I spoke about how we've shifted this mentality from the control of major record labels and basically having all of the power to really the consumer having the power. Like, consumers tell us what they want to hear, and it happens at a much quicker pace than it used to. You can put out a song and 2 weeks later find out if it's good.
Yeah, so so point to entry is quick.
Yeah.
Creation to entry to the market's quick.
Yeah, and it's also great because you can, for somebody who likes writing songs and experimenting with stuff, we can put out a variety of stuff and see what works for people, and keep the art portion of it real. Because if you're always making music, it turns out better. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Do you think there's the argument of it being risky, doing exactly what you just said, which is you can throw samples out and kind of test the waters? And do you think, number one, does that dilute the product any as an artist? Also, do you think that maybe ultimately undervalues the final song, the final cut, the finished cut at all?
Well, when I say that, I mean putting out final products. So you can put out more final products in a year than you used to be able to. And you can really push, instead of pushing a whole album, you can push individual songs quicker and better than you used to. But the thing for me that's really, really great about what's going on is you can, we're in a society that gives instant feedback. So if people are vibing with what you're doing, you can do that. And it also separates if, Joe Schmo puts out a record and it takes 3 years for more music to come out, then, there's that 3 years time, which used to be, not a lot of time. And then now it's almost like a decade.
It's an eternity, right?
So the connection with people is a lot closer. And if you believe in what you're doing, and if you have, enough songs that you believe in, you can keep putting stuff out, and hopefully people, keep enjoying it. And, the ones that don't work, they're a blip. And then, more stuff comes out. So.
Is the album dead? In terms of maybe, and again, different generations here, but from what I remember of an album in the 70s and the 80s, that was the album. If you were lucky, your favorite artist would put another one out the next year. Yeah. Maybe 2 in a year, possibly.
Yep.
Then it started to get, once they got success, it was like every 2 years.
Yeah.
And they got mega success, it was almost once every 3 or 4 years. That format of waiting for enough material to press the vinyl, get it out, is that format dead now?
I don't think so. I think it's all, it goes back to music being widely consumed. everybody can do and really project what they want to. There are people who work better in an album format. There are people who do conceptual stuff really, really well across, 10, 11, 12 songs.
Mm-hmm. Like a story.
Yeah,
almost
like
a story.
like guys like like Clutch always has cool stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's guys who release great singles, and then it used to be you hear an album and 12 of the songs suck, and there's 2 songs that are your favorite.
Yeah.
Of all time.
Yeah.
And
there's a few records out there like that.
yeah, it's just and it's all genres. It doesn't really matter. But there's people who work better in that format, and for people who work better in an album format, you can literally put an entire playlist on YouTube and just run through that album.
Right.
And that's even more readily accessible than it has ever been. So
What do you prefer? Do you like to produce a great song and then get it out to the public right away, as opposed to waiting for enough material for an EP or an LP?
I don't know. I would love to put out EPs all the time.
Is that typically a time frame? Help me understand what an EP is. Is it like typically 4 songs, 3 songs?
I believe it's anything less than 8 is the magic number.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So there's a lot of 4-song EPs, a lot of 6-song EPs going on. The last thing we did was a 6-song EP, and then we've kind of been releasing singles for the next little while. We're going to release a bunch of individual songs throughout the course of next year.
Okay.
Which is cool and exciting because it's a little different, but to the EP thing, I think it works really, really well if you have songs in the chamber and there's 8 of them that are done, and you can lump 4 of them together that sound really good together.
Okay.
And put that out as a product, and then maybe there's a couple of offshoots that are a little different, and you throw those out as singles. So
okay. Because major artists just seem to be going the single route to me.
Yeah. I think so. I think what's really interesting right now is there's a lot of people producing on a scale almost less and putting out one thing at a time, but the benefit of that is you're getting typically you're getting a little bit higher quality product for one song that's getting marketed really, really hard and really, really well. And if you have all of your ears on one thing, it's a lot easier to focus on one thing for 2 months, and then one thing for 2 months, and then one thing for 2 months, and then one thing for 2 months.
Okay.
And I think that's just how people are our brains are working right now.
Do you think so that's definitely different than putting out a body of work, pressing it, putting it out, then waiting and putting another body of work out. So that's different. Do you think the public was the driver for artists to produce this way, or do you think this was a record company kind of driven idea of single release?
I don't know. I think it's probably twofold. I think it's probably the consumer is saying more, right? So you have to figure out a way to give people more. Like, our society just craves content right now. So the more content we can give people, the more satisfied they are and the happier they are. And the more, your own personal brand can be out there. And if you're an artist, like, you assume that your whole body of work is part of your art. So I think that allows people to constantly stay connected. And I could also see the record labels saying, well, our revenue is cut into a 10th now because people used to have to buy 10 songs instead of 1. So why are we giving them 10 songs? Like, I could see that too. So
got it.
But I have no idea. I'm just just a guy talking.
We're just spitballing here. The reason why I wanted to ask you these questions is because you embrace the digital environment we are in now for music. You're one of the few musicians I've met that actually does.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of a little, and
I think it's because I'm a little guy.
I think it's because you're also younger too. Had you put out bodies of work under the old format, and you saw your ASCAP checks, dwindle down to nothing.
I can see that.
Yeah, but do you still think it's possible for is it still possible to make money directly from the consumption of your recordings? Is that even still possible today? Outside of maybe your top 10, highly pushed artists that are, on every radio station or on all the television shows, outside of those folks, is this still possible? Or must you tour to make your money?
I think it's an interesting question. I think it goes back to, why are you making music?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a person who makes music because it's a part of you and your goal is to get it out to as many people as possible, and money is really secondary,
Mm-hmm.
Which is really hard for a lot of people. I've always been a big believer that if you put in the work and you believe in what you're doing enough, like, those things take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And there is ways to, make revenue on songs and make revenues playing. But I think it's all perspective. I think if you're in it to solely see the paycheck at the end of your song, I think it's certainly squandered a lot of people's hopes.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of revenue immediately from putting out music. It's just not there. But the cool thing and the nice aggregate thing about what putting out constant music does is, everything's driven by playlists and algorithms and stuff now.
Right.
So the more you show up in people's stuff,
mm-hmm.
the more revenue you can generate. So the more content you're creating, the more revenue you can generate based on all of the things that you have your hand in, and all the little nuances of where your stuff's being streamed, how your videos are being consumed. And I think that's really that's a game-changing thing that people aren't recognizing is,
Well, the average person doesn't understand all that stuff. I'm speaking from experience.
Sure.
I mean, so you have a background in that, so it makes more sense to you on its face,
sure,
than it would for people like myself.
Sure. And I think, the hard thing is what have we always been drawn to in music? Is it really like one song, or is it like you were saying, a body of work, like an artist thing?
Okay.
So if it is the artist thing, part of the artist thing now is all of that content and all the stuff that comes with the music itself. So it's the shows, it's how you interact with people, it's your merchandise, and all of those things can make up for some of the lost revenue if you're just putting out an album.
Okay. Little right turn here. What's your thoughts on recording live? Are we ever going to see a Frank Vieira,
live me record?
Yeah, a live Frank Vieira record. Do you number one? Do you think there's a market for that in 2019?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's
okay.
If you one of my heroes, guy Eric Church.
Mm-hmm.
You look at what he does. He put out that 61 Days in Church live record, and for his fan base and the people who love him, that is the perfect thing, because his live show is part of what makes him so great. And I think it's all, it goes back to the artist thing. Like, if that's part of your thing, if you find that your live show is something where people show up for, and it's a special moment for those people, then yes, you figure out a way to put on a great live recording with all of the little nuances of your show. Maybe there's weird covers in there and stuff nobody hears, and I think that's a great way to do a live recording. But for me personally, I think I personally think I have too much fun producing and working in a studio environment.
Interesting.
To take that aspect away.
Well, I don't mean take it away, but would you see
I know.
add to your repertoire an extra recording that was like your experience live?
Yeah, and I just don't know. And currently, it could change tomorrow. It could change in a year. It could change in a couple of years. But in the current state I'm in, I love being in a studio. I love the little nuance you can put in, the little the vocal sound effect of a change jar dropping on the floor that you can't get somewhere else.
Right. Right.
The little stuff like that, the little ear candy stuff, is really neat and something that's been driving me production wise. So And thanks to Mike Ofka, who just kills all of our production. He's awesome. But right now it's probably not something for me. But the way that we would probably go about doing it is doing weird songs that aren't on anything else and just
That's interesting.
doing them as a songwriter.
That's interesting.
But that's kind of my take on it.
I had Clinton Clegg of the Common Heart in.
He's incredible.
Yeah, and he was in a couple weeks ago.
He's incredible, man.
Yeah.
We were actually in Chicago the same weekend.
Oh, get up.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great guy.
He has no idea who I am. I just follow him.
I'm
He's a
sure he
great guy.
does.
Yeah.
I'm sure he does. His point was that a little different than your take on it. He considers the Common Heart a live act. There's so much energy.
Yes, they are.
There's so much. There's so much going on.
Yes.
There, and we talked, and it, because I'm a big fan of, as a music fan, I'm a huge fan of live records, and it goes back to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Peter Frampton, all the 70s, all that stuff. But again, it has to be done right, and I'm sure even today with the enhanced technology, it's still going to be hard.
Yeah.
To get all the band members to agree that was a good take of one of our live songs. So it could be a process, right, to get it right.
And sometimes that technology works against you in a live setting, right? Like if everything is being recorded so clean and so polished in
might as well be in a studio.
Right, you might as well be in a studio. So it's how do you how do you take the things that make your live show special and incorporate them back into a live recording? Like, is it the way a crowd interacts with a song, or how do you actually capture that? And maybe the real solution is maybe it just comes with video.
Yeah, that's an option.
And it just all depends on who you are. Like, who wouldn't want to hear Clinton sing live, right? Like, I get that. Like, they are a live record band, and you come out to one of our shows live, like, you're there to have a good time. You're not necessarily nothing I ever sing will blow you away the way that his voice can, and I think that's a very live record feel. We might write songs that you might say that's one of the best songs I've ever heard, and you might hear it in a moment and get captured in it, but it's such a different juxtaposition of like what we are as artists.
Okay. He had a very interesting answer for me when I asked him the following question. I said, wouldn't it be great to have a Common Heart live record, because all the nuances and the expanded solos and for an artist to take something and go off and do their thing and then come back around again and experience all that.
Yeah.
And he said there's not that much of that. He said there's a little room. Everybody has a little room live, but it's pretty much what's the word? Pretty much scheduled. It's pretty much planned out. And we're gonna meet at the end of the song in the way we pretty much directed it to be. And that surprised me, because I thought they were I don't know, I thought there'd be more improvisation there. I thought there'd be more of more
jammy
embellishment or something to it, But he said no, they're pretty much on target. It's pretty scripted. It's pretty scripted out. Are you folks the same way? Are you guys pretty scripted?
Oh yeah, we're we're scripted to we run everything with our ears and click track and everything. So if you put us on a 3-hour show and you said start at 8 and end at 11, it's start at 8 and end at 11 exactly. So from a scripted standpoint, I think the interesting thing about that musically is, while it seems like it's limiting, the reality is it's a lot harder to work in that framework, and it makes every single moment count a lot more than if
there's no room to fuck up.
There's no room to mess up. Yeah. Absolutely. There's the margin for error is a lot less, and the cool thing about that is when you start doing that, there's magic moments that can happen inside of that time that allows things to gel differently. Or you play a song over the course of 2 years, and all of a sudden the song that you started with here and the song that you got 2 years later has this unique different vibe, because inside of that time frame all the people who are who are there making it live have figured out, man, he's doing this stick hit at this exact moment, and what if we all stopped here and did this, you know? So it's a cool
It's like an evolution.
It is
within the band.
Yeah, it's an evolution within the band, but it's also like inside of that structure, how do we make everything more dynamic
Without elongating the structure, make it all still work in the same time frame.
Exactly.
When what I loved about live records is, and to continue with that theme that you just said, I can listen to the Stones play "Gimme Shelter" in like '74 on a live record, then listen to it again in '89, '90, and hear the differences.
Yeah.
And then listen to it 2 years ago and hear the differences. And if you love a band and love a particular song, different incarnations of a song, that's kind of the beauty of being an appreciator of music.
Oh,
so
totally.
It's not sterile every time. And my point to you would be, do you do different things on your live when you play these songs of yours live? So those little nuances and idiosyncrasies might be
cool to hear live.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is why I think it would be great for bands to take charge of their live performances on the recording front is we're all walking around with very powerful devices now, which make bootlegging video and audio much easier than it was decades prior.
Yep.
And the bands didn't like bootlegging back then, but they always had that thing, well, the audio kind of sucks because these people with their tape recorders.
Less and less the case, huh?
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Technology's made it so good, but no matter what, holding a device and recording from the audience, whether it's video or audio, as opposed to having it professionally done, having all it mic'd, run through a soundboard, then having you guys do a little post, you know, that would be the finished product that would still supersede any kind of bootleg. Would you not agree?
Totally agree with that. And the interesting thing about that is I love stuff like that and I love hearing it, but there's also this really cool rawness to those people's cameras on their phone and getting a different perspective of what's going on and getting a different audio of what's going on.
So you find them useful for you when you go back and look at your performance?
Oh, I love watching, like, if people send us stuff from a show, I love watching it because I think it's really neat to see their perspective of what we're doing and if it's actually connecting or not. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can curate inside of, you know, an official production, and there's a lot of moments that only can happen with that little handheld device.
Interesting.
If you're interacting with that person.
Interesting.
Or, you know, it's a great way to, you know, create more content, but it's also a great way to interact with the people who are interacting with you on stage. So, you know, if somebody's over there filming us, it takes me half a second to run over there with my microphone, keep singing, and take a photo, right?
Got it.
And those little moments change the landscape of how people feel about you.
Got it.
You know?
Yeah, so they're opportunities. They're fan engagement opportunities.
Well, they're fan engagement opportunities, but for us too, like, it's really awesome and really cool and really rewarding to see people interact with stuff that way.
I get it. I get it.
It makes it special for us. Like, you can look back at those moments and say, dude, do you remember when this happened on stage? Like, and it's there. It's captured forever.
And that's the beauty of music in general.
Yeah.
It's just the memories, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's the whole reason why we're so in love with songs. Because sometimes it isn't even a song. It's just the fact that where were you at that point in your life and who you were with and what you were doing.
Oh, totally. And that's the ticket, man. That's the...
So talk to me a little bit about songwriting.
Yeah.
We touched briefly on it last time you were here. Does that still supersede everything for you? Is that where you find the greatest joy?
Yep.
Is the crafting of the song?
I wrote a song today.
There you go.
That's what it's all about, man.
And that's even supersedes live performances for you. That supersedes everything else. When you're writing, are you writing with? Do you start writing with the idea that it's going to be a song that you are going to perform?
I think I do. I think that's always kind of where the best stuff comes from, is if it's real, if it's your experience and your voice on stuff. You know, you mentioned connecting those memories and times in a song, and that's what our last release was the ticket, and that's the entire vibe of that song, is capturing those moments where you paid X amount of dollars for this little piece of paper, and what that little piece of paper gets you is timeless and priceless here forever in your heart.
Right.
And that's what that whole song is about. So for me, when you sit down to write a song, it's, you know, it's a lot of therapy and soul searching, and then, you know, you turn those experiences that you've had into something relatable for everybody, or something that, you know, works on a scale where somebody can hear that song and say, yeah, I had that moment, but my moment looked like this, or I know exactly what you're talking about. I just happened to meet a girl with blue eyes, you know. And that's, I think it's, if it doesn't come from your own perspective, then it's really hard to make it authentic.
Do you also, though, write it with the assumption that you are going to be the one who records this and sings it? Because that's what I'm getting at. Like I realize it's coming from you and has to be from your soul, but you have been successful also at giving songs to others, you know.
Sure.
And I wonder how that thought process, like what are is it all unique each song, or are there certain things, like when you had aluminum cans, how did that end up with
how did that end up with Devin?
Devin, yeah. What's the process, how that works?
So start to finish on that song, like I was just sitting on my porch drinking an aluminum can and started writing a song about aluminum cans. And about halfway through this chorus, I was like, wow, I really want this to go here, and I can't hit that note to save my life.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, I'm like, what does this song actually sound like? And then, you know, you kind of take a rough demo of it, file it away, and, you know, maybe somebody comes up to you months later and says, hey, do you have any songs that feel like this? And it's like, oh, yeah, I couldn't sing that song. Do you think you could sing it?
Okay.
You know, and for me, that's kind of how that project started with Devin, and there's a couple other songs that I think he might do, and which is pretty cool. Like that's a really neat honor to have anybody cut your music because they feel like it's good enough, you know, and that's a pretty special thing.
Your songwriting process, I'm guessing you do it with guitar in hand. Does it all start with the guitar?
Most of the time. I think sometimes, and it's neat because my process is really, I think it's like everything else. It's like any other craft that you do. You eventually fall into a little bit of a rhythm with it. And every once in a while you really stray from that rhythm. Just because you know where your line is,
right? And
then why don't we try this, or why don't we try this? So I think sometimes that, you know, the variance in that can kind of create new things. So every once in a while you start with like a melody in your head, or a couple words. For me, I usually I have an entire like note on my phone of just song titles, and I think that's a pretty powerful way to start. A lot of songs are, especially in country music, are very singular focused. And like Aluminum Cans is a great example, right? Like every line of that song can relate back to an aluminum can or a perspective of an aluminum can. So keeping the themes alive within a song are a very core songwriter country music kind of thing. So
so there's an example where you're saying the process for you sometimes starts with the title, as opposed to
sometimes you get a melody, but for me, I'm usually a title person. I'll usually work backwards from, you know, like getting a title to all of the things that revolve around a title, and then going into, well, how do we assemble chorus and verse structure around what we want to say. So,
have you written songs where you've started from different places? Have you started with a rhythm one time as opposed to a title? Have you started with a lyrical, a bulk of lyrics? Have you done it all ways?
I think so. I think I think if you write enough songs, you eventually figure out enough weird ways to start music.
Okay.
I think one of my favorite things is my brother's been on 2 cuts that I've done for myself,
okay,
lyric wise, and he'll just call me up and he'll be like, I got a great idea for a song. It should be this, right? So, and he's your brother, so you're gonna write a song, right? So, taking that idea, which has 0 lyrical melody, any kind of content, and saying, oh, we're gonna make a song,
okay,
and then coming back like a week later with here's your song, is kind of a neat way to
it's
approach
creation.
things. Yeah,
I mean, that's like that has to be, for someone that does not write songs, that has to be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, I think it is too. And one of my favorite things that I ever did songwriting wise is one of our really good friends. Her name's Megan. She wanted me to write a song for her father-daughter dance, which was really cool because you want to make that as personal as possible.
Sure.
So it was almost like sit down, let's have an interview. Right, tell me all of these things, right, and then you take all of this content and information, and then you download it into like verse form and melody and structure, which was neat. That was a really different way to write.
Do you subscribe to the formula? Do you have a formula? Was it the chorus, bridge, chorus, right?
Probably.
Is that pop music?
Yeah, it's I think having a formula is probably
smart.
It's smart, but it's less about I think it's less about knowing you have a formula and more about what actually is music, right? Like we consume music so much that almost every song has some pattern of verse, chorus.
Wasn't there a formula for pop music?
Chorus.
It's like, is it 96 beats a minute or whatever it is? And there's the pop formula to some degree, which has certainly encroached on country music.
I think more than specific formula, there's probably like parameters, right? So
okay.
If we went out and sang a song with like 4 choruses, right? And I think it's pretty easy to determine when a chorus happens or is coming. And you sang a song with 4 choruses, people would be like, that's not music. That doesn't make any sense. Right?
Because mathematically, whatever those notes equate to the listener.
Yeah, but we also, like, our brains are incredibly powerful, right?
Yes.
So we've created, throughout culture and throughout time, we've created this way that we perceive music in a singing and written form. So we're so accustomed to some of the things that we hear that when it's not there, it no longer feels right. So some of that stuff is just, hey, that's what music is, and some of that stuff is so deeply ingrained in what our mind perceives we want to hear that you just kind of like, it just happens.
Yeah, so I get it completely from an appreciator of a lot of hard rock and rock and roll. There was generally the formula, even in hard rock, but you always have some outliers. Like Rush was a band with time changes.
Rush is crazy.
Weird stuff. Weird sounding singer. Weird sounding drummer. Weird procedural drummer. Technical drummer. So there's always outliers. Would you not agree? And I think of like Paul McCartney played all this, very cookie cutter. I'm not dismissing the Beatles. I'm saying the formula for the Beatles was very pop related. And then he goes to Wings and does these really trippy style, different time changes. And those songs became very popular. And they weren't what people were generally used to hearing with the Beatles. So I think. But what you're saying is those are all kind of like outliers. Those are not. They were taking it. They got lucky. Either got lucky that the public accepted it, or I don't know. I guess I'm trying to say is it can be done the other way. You can take obtuse things and make them popular.
Absolutely.
But your chances of that happening are just quite less than staying within the predictable formula.
Sure, and you also have to be a genius to do those things, you know. And I'm just a simple guy with some melodies and some ideas. But you're totally right. You know, some of the best songs have really weird structure, like
which is really out there.
Something that's, you know, super modern music wise that's really weird is some of the songs on Billie Eilish's record, right? Like there's a lot of it's almost like having two bridges and like two different choruses and maybe like a weird whisper verse thing. But some of the song structure there is really weird. But more so than that, I think what we're getting is a lot of people messing with the dynamics of songs and how, you know, how you can literally flip a genre on top of its head in a verse, or
no question,
change the entire mood of a song, and it's acceptable to like take a country song and then all of a sudden have like the bass fall out of it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is almost like a dubstep song. This is weird, right? So some of those things, while our core structure may be similar and the same, like that's kind of messing with, you know, tradition and perceived idea of what things should be.
It's probably pretty cool to be able to mess with the mind to a degree where you write a song and it's moving along as predicted, as the mind anticipates it's going to be, and then something doesn't resolve the way it expects, and the public can either be intrigued by that and it's catchy and they cling to it, or else they can be totally put off by it.
Yeah,
is that right?
I think so. I think one of the neat things that you know, production tricks that you hear a lot at the end of songs is like this weird tension that forces you to resolve the song by playing it again. Right? I think that's one of the most common uses of that trick, is you have a song resolve on not a weird chord, but at a weird time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like
the anticipation is it's going to start again as it
like
fades out.
How do I start this song? Well, I'll just play it again, you know, and that's how you end up, you know, listening to a song for 12 hours.
When you write and you create the song structure, and let's say you have it together, have you ever been surprised that okay, here it is, I'm playing on acoustic, I have all the lyrical content, chorus, bridge, chorus, it's, you know, it's not cookie cutter, but it's a good one. This is a good one. And then you go into the studio, and when it pops out the other end, after it's touched by different people, maybe, do you ever sit back and go, wow, that was not really how I envisioned it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, not that it's bad, but it wasn't really, it wasn't in the vibe that I initially wrote it in.
I think some of the best stuff that musically we've put out has happened like that.
Really?
I think some of, like, one of the coolest things, and I've always tried to do this, is surround myself with like the best people possible, and everybody around me is so incredibly gifted. Why wouldn't I let them use their gift?
So you're open to it then.
Right. And, you know, we figure out a way to mold everything back together.
Okay.
And does this sound right? No, let's try it this way. Or no, let's try it this way. But there's been so many cool ideas that happen in the studio that are available to us because I've always felt like we have this really open vibe right now in the studio where everybody can try what they want to, and everybody's open to, you know, criticism and open to new ideas, right? So as soon as you allow that openness to happen, all of a sudden everybody has great ideas, and when stuff just starts getting thrown at the wall, and you can have that flexibility of, you know, messing with a song to the point where you remove an entire verse and say, this doesn't work, let's do this. Right. I think it really it allows things to be more dynamic, and it also I think when you take a step back and you pull yourself out of the picture and let people who are truly good at things do what they're really good at, you start seeing the whole product be better.
Okay.
Right. You know,
Does it take a little while to get that way? Like, are you different now than when you first started?
I think so. I think it's taken, you know, and everybody who works with me, like, those guys are all so good, man. And it's been such a cool thing to, like, all grow together and really influence the effort level and everybody's involvement, and just seeing where we're at now doing stuff. Especially in the studio. Like, the studio stuff has been really cool because there's this great vibe right now of everybody feeling like we can go in and crush something and make it our own and make it really unique. And that doesn't happen if everybody's not comfortable. So
no, I get it.
That's been something that's been pretty cool lately.
Norm Nardini was on a couple days ago, and he said the best thing that happened to me was that I finally admitted to myself that I don't know everything.
Yeah.
A man has to know his limitations.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, when I was open to letting others, you know, really put their mark in my process, he goes, I did my best stuff.
Yep.
You feel the same way?
Absolutely. I think I think the less of me there is in stuff, and just keeping the understanding of what we're going for. And, you know, obviously lyric wise, like, yeah, I'm a big lyric person. That's probably my thing.
Okay.
Right. So if I let other people do their thing on a project, it's going to be better than my personal thoughts on, hey, maybe we should try this. And that stuff happens. Like, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. I'm a big process person. It takes forever to make music sometimes, and that's okay.
Okay.
So I totally agree with that. I totally agree that when you let people do what they're good at, they feel more confident, and then the entire thing gets lifted to a new level.
You ever done a song and well, let me ask you this: Would you go play a song live before you've actually recorded it? Have you done that?
I do a lot of acoustic.
Okay.
I play a lot of songs that I've written acoustic by myself before I do anything else.
Interesting.
And I think that's pretty important because, you know, it's really like taking like a really quick focus group of, does this work? And there's a lot of songs that I thought were really good and get zero reaction. There's a lot of songs that I thought were really tacky that people love. And I think if you don't, like, constantly put stuff out like there, or stuff like that out there, then how are you gauging what's working? How are you, or is it just a unilateral decision that, like, this is my best stuff and I'm doing it? Or is it, wow, people seem to really like this, let's expand on that?
Okay.
And for me, that's kind of how it's gone.
So your acoustic sets, that's kind of like your proving ground for new material.
Yeah, and I think and this has been really cool, man. Like, we're so fortunate. Like, we have a lot of awesome people who've started to show up to a lot of shows. And it means the world to me to see that. So one of the things for me that's always special is knowing that, you know, those people who come to a lot of stuff, they hear the same show a lot. So if I can do anything to make our show more special or make it more unique, I want to do that. So maybe it's me playing a bunch of new acoustic stuff.
Sure.
And hopefully that's something that people look forward to when they come see us is, wow, maybe I get a new song that I've never heard or nobody else has heard. So that's for me, it's A, focus group, and B, hopefully for people who support us, something new and different that they can see at a show they've seen, 100 times.
Have you ever written a rock song? I know, because what you do is close to rock.
It's
very close to rock.
Everything is country, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But have you ever written with this, like, wow, you know, this could be some driving guitar here on the rhythm. This could be some, you know.
On my very first project, I wrote a pretty heavy song called Jekyll and Hyde, which was like is just really heavy.
Okay.
Like that deep, big guitar, swampy, like badass in your face kind of thing.
Okay.
So that was cool. And
you got it out of your system, huh?
well, I think it stays with you, right? Like they're the coolest thing in country music right now, and country music purists won't like this, but you can pick little pockets of things that you like from other genres and bring them back to you. And you know, maybe that's
it's not very traditional, pal.
No, I write a lot of songs that could probably be super traditional, and I love traditional country music, and I love 90s country music. I think.
Well, what, do you think 90s country music was traditional?
For me, it is. Think about it.
Oh boy, I don't think Garth Brooks is traditional.
Well, you know.
I mean, I don't know.
It's all perspective.
It
right?
is perspective. I guess. Back then, when he was doing what he was doing, he was not being viewed by the traditionalist as country music.
No, and I get that. And
he was country Kiss when he played. That's pretty much what he was.
Yeah. I have my fair share of Don Williams records at home. So,
fair enough.
That's the dude.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
But yeah, I think there's this really cool thing in music right now where experimentation is okay, and if somehow you figure out a way to make all of those things just you, right? Like if you can stand apart as who you are as an artist, then all of a sudden it really doesn't matter. Right. Like your our days of like painting genres as certain things really limits what you can do as an artist.
There's no question.
You know, so if you're going out there and your entire goal is A, to get your music out there, B, to make great art, and C, to, you know, entertain people.
Right.
None of that has anything to do with do you fit in this box or this box or this box. So
which that's a problem anyways.
We
talked about that last time.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in no boxes.
I am too.
I think
it took me a while to get there. Yeah, but I am now.
I think there's great country music, and there's really bad country music, and I think there's great hip hop, and there's really bad hip hop, and we just kind of need to stop, you know, disliking things because we're told that it doesn't fit what we should listen to, because there's a good
telling us this?
Good possibility that that guy who wrote that hard rock song was influenced by the exact same song that wrote that traditional country song, or
vice versa.
Everybody hears stuff differently. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned last time you were on too that you really were. What excited you is when genres would cross over, would collide.
Yeah,
and excellence would come out of there.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I still think one of my favorite things that happened was I forget now. It was either Brad Paisley or Keith Urban and John Mayer on Crossroads, and it was one of those things where like you have these two incredible guitar smiths like in their prime, just taking each other's songs and putting their own twist on them. It was definitely Brad Paisley, I think. Now that I think about it, it's definitely Brad Paisley and John Mayer. Yeah, so like you hear Brad Paisley singing "Daughters" or something, but that was to me that was the coolest thing, because the version of, you know, a Brad Paisley song that John Mayer can do is this completely new, profound way of doing it. And the version of a John Mayer song that Brad Paisley can do is this quirky, fun, playful way of doing it. Right. And the reality is the only reason you can do that is because they're great songs. Like you could change whatever you want, and if the song is good, it's good.
Yeah, the song will transcend genres or styles or whatever, and that's, I guess, always been the case. Loved growing up hearing different versions of Zeppelin. You know, we'd have in the 80s cover bands, and just other accomplished artists coming together and doing Zeppelin. So there was one in the early 90s, a whole album of Zeppelin songs. And I remember saying to myself, I wouldn't want to admit this in mixed company, but I kind of like this better than the real thing. So it's really just other people's interpretations and spin.
Yep.
And how can that not be good?
Right.
Even if the song ends up not being good, it's the effort and the willingness to be able to open your mind to different versions of something that you love.
Right. And it goes back to our original thing of like, talking about the monetary value of it. And for me, it's like, what's the point? We're there for those moments, right? Like, you're there for that moment that changes your life in a song. You're not there to find out how much money Eric Church made on that tour.
Yeah, I think the money has always tainted music, but you can look at any artistic field. It's art. Whether it's graphic arts, it could be visual art, whatever it is. Ultimately, in the end, I think it tends to get to the point where when money supersedes the passion or the original intent of the art, that's where the corruption starts. You not agree?
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
And you talked earlier about what was the main driver for someone to get into the music business. I'm sure there's been people in more easier probably decades ago, but got into music thinking they're going to be rock stars and make $1 million, and a small 1/100th of 1% of those people might have done it.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Those are probably not the people that made it, though.
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, and
to me, like, if all of the sudden, like, we never got paid to play another show again, and nobody ever bought anything ever again, and there was no money involved with it, what would I be doing? I would be sitting on my couch writing songs, right? And that's
because it's in you and it has to come out, right?
Yeah. Otherwise,
pretty much.
Yeah. Otherwise, you have other issues in life.
Yeah. Well, again. No, you're right, or else, and you deal with them by abusing stuff like this, or
Cheers.
Salute, right? Yeah. So, but again, it does come back to passions, and whether it's music, whether it's business, whether it's industry, whether it's this little crazy thing that I'm trying to do here, if you feel like you're passionate about something, I mean, you're living proof. Your life can really be enriched by diving into your passion and seeing it through. And I think it doesn't happen with enough humans. I think that there's probably a lot of creative people out there that they just don't take that first step.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
We suffocate in what the world expects us to do, right?
Or what we believe the world expects us to do.
Yeah.
So before we get into some music here, because I'm dying to hear that guitar and you sing.
What's that? I've never seen it before.
It's a beauty. What's going on with what can you? Obviously, you're winding down for the year now, right? I saw the next gig on your website. The next gig, I think, was at Jurgles. Is that correct? In January,
we are
20th or something.
So our next show is actually Friday. It's a benefit show. For St. Jude's at 31 Sports Bar.
Okay.
I think I'm playing acoustic, so but after that we
Not
have
this Friday, the Friday before Christmas.
This Friday.
Oh wait,
the 20th.
This is the Friday before Christmas. Oh my gosh. Time's
Whatever
flying.
day it is.
Time's flying, man.
Time's irrelevant.
Time is irrelevant. Yeah. Right
and
on.
then
right on.
We're closing out the decade at Tequila Cowboy on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's your Tequila Cowboy, New Year's Eve. That's your welcome. That's your New Year's Eve gig.
Yep.
All right. Now, and then it was Jurgles the 20th of January. Is that right?
We're not. Oh, you know what? We're with
February?
Eric Posley, however he pronounces it, who's a phenomenal songwriter.
Yeah.
But we're with him February 27th at Jurgles. Or no, it's Thursday.
It's February. Yeah.
And then February and March, and we start playing music again.
You say you're going to take January off?
I'm taking January off.
Good for you.
Yep. I haven't had a year or a month off in probably 7 or 8 years doing this. So
I'm sure the family will appreciate that.
Yeah. We my wife is awesome, man. My wife, she is the coolest person, and I'm so grateful for her support. And we have our little baby, and I'm just looking forward to a cool Christmas and
time to chill. So after New Year's, you can breathe for a little bit, right?
Yep.
So New Year's should be a good time.
Yep. Breathe for a little bit, kind of reflect, and I think times like that is nice because you can kind of take a step back and prepare for what you want to do.
Do you anticipate getting out of state again in 2020, doing more touring?
Oh yeah, we're
Is there an announcement coming
probably,
that you can't talk about?
No. We're probably,
you can talk about it if you want to, Frank.
We're probably going to be around a good bit this year. And for folks in Pittsburgh, they might not be super happy that we're not playing around a lot in Pittsburgh, but that just makes the shows we are playing in Pittsburgh more special.
Sure.
So,
absolutely right. Well, I don't think anyone that's an appreciator and a fan of your music would want you to not go out and expand your reach, you know?
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean, be selfish a little bit, but
no, it's going to be a fun year, and we have a lot of new music coming out. We've been working really hard, really consistently through the past year when we can.
Okay.
Making new stuff and just trying to create a constant stream of music coming out, so people can have stuff to look forward to and keep putting it on their playlists. And
right on. Right on.
I thought the coolest thing, and it's the only thing I'm gonna say about me and whatever, but the coolest thing that happened this year, they send you like the end of the year Spotify.
I see everybody posts them. I haven't seen
everybody
yours.
posts them, right?
So yours are.
We had a good year, man. But my favorite part of that is there were 41.
Nicely played, pal. Nicely played.
41 people on planet Earth listened to me more than any other artist. And whoever those 41 people are, Mom, you can't be all 41 of them. So I appreciate those people, and they mean the world to me. So
right on, brother. Right on. All right.
Yeah, man. Want to hear some music?
I do want to hear some music. Yeah. What are you gonna play for me?
I don't know. What do you want to hear?
I want to hear some old. I want to hear some new.
I want to hear some old and new.
All
right. Old and new.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some. I won't do Facebook Live per se, but we're gonna do some filming initially, so we can get it up and out there right away.
Okay, cool. So we had a new song come out in November.
Okay,
let's do that.
All right.
It's a little song called "The Ticket," and
all right,
it's a song I wrote with my brother about the little pieces of paper that change our lives at every event we've ever been to. And I haven't had the opportunity to play this one a lot, so hopefully.
So we're gonna do it tonight.
Yeah, man.
Right on.
You're a Packers fan, right?
Shh.
Are you?
No. Can't believe you said that.
Everybody's a Brett Favre fan, though.
He believes so.
Interesting perspective. Green Bay, 9 years old on my birthday, and Dad drove for hours to see Favre play from a nosebleed view. Row well, seat 5A1, and just me and my dad for once. And life has moments in time, and we freeze frame and pack and rewind the memories we were making to whoever was playing that night. Yeah, we get it, give it and live, and thank God the date is pretty on the ticket. July, Saratoga, your green eyes had me falling all over for you. At an Eric Church debut. Lawn seats, Bud Light lace chips, one long, slow first kiss, and laugh as moments in time and we freeze frame, the pack and rewind, the memories we were making to whoever was playing that night. Yeah, we get it, give it, and live it. And more than a day, it is printed on the ticket. Yeah. On the ticket. And tonight, wherever we are in this small town, big city bar, I just thank God that I'm up on stage. And you might not know all my songs, but I hope they stick in your mind. These words live on and laugh as moments in time and we freeze frame, and pack and rewind the memories we were making to whoever was playing that night. Yeah, we get it, give it, and live it. And more than a day is printed on a ticket. Green Bay, 29 on my birthday. I can still see Dad like it's third grade from that nosebleed. Cool.
Nice job.
Thanks,
Nice job. Excellent. Excellent.
Little tearjerker, eh?
Yeah, a little bit for me. Yeah, a little bit for me.
Yeah, that's a good
I
one.
knew it was coming though.
As soon as you start doing this shit, it's like, oh yeah.
I know the song. Yeah. So as soon as you said the Green Bay reference, I'm like, oh, here we go.
All right, we want to do one more.
Yes, sir.
You want to do? What did you say you wanted to do? You wanted to do an old one.
Whatever you want, buddy. What'd you aluminum cans?
What I really want to do is play you a song that I wrote today.
Whoa, you gonna play a song? Really?
I think so.
Oh,
My first crush was Patty Mayonnaise. Had Ninja Turtles on all my Band-Aids. And Saturday breakfast and lunch was a big old bowl of Captain Crunch. Just a 3D kid in a 2D world. Yeah, just a kid learning all I knew between that AM block. Yeah, the 10 and 2, I'd save the day. And a few nights too, just a kid and cartoons. Just a kid and some cartoons. Prime queen backseat listening to Backstreet. And I was going as far as the radio let me. And I played it cool like Dirk said to. Yeah, we were working on those night moves. Just a kid learning all I knew between that FM box and the 10 and 2. We'd save the day. And a few nights too, just some kids and cartoons. Couple kids and some cartoons. my favorite part. It's 2 a.m. and they're wide awake. Daddy, I can't sleep, save the day. So it's Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. Just some kids in cartoons. A couple kids learning all they knew between 8 a.m. black and the 10 and 2. We'd save the day and a few nights too. A couple kids in cartoons. A couple kids and some cartoons. Any ones in particular?
Well, this is an older, but I wanted to hear your version of Aluminum Cans. I know you're gonna say, well, that registered, it's a little high for me, but you know
how to play it.
Get the hell out of here, man! Really?
I can figure it out.
Come on, man!
It can't be that hard. I wrote it.
You wrote it, goddammit! Come on, man! I just love that song. I love it.
The great ballet going big on when it comes to fun, they're part of my plan. Yeah, I'm a fan of aluminum cans. So pass them down, raise them up. No glass, no plastic cups. Drink them with you if you drink them with me. Out in the woods on the back of my Chevy. Got the key to a good night in the palm of our hands. All sponsored by aluminum cans. Punch a hole in the side for your shotgun rider. You can kill a whole case if you're feeling inspired. There's no substitute, I'm telling you, man. Life's better with aluminum cans. So ask them down, raise them up. No glass, no plastic cups. Drink them with you if you drink them with me. Out in the woods on the back of my Chevy. Got the key to a good night in the palm of our hands. All sponsored by aluminum cans. There's a part I don't know. You say nothing in your world is going right. Grab a dozen or so and you can crash here tonight. And we could talk about it on one in each hand. Life's better with a friend in aluminum cans. So pass them down, raise them up. Be right here when times get tough. Drink them with you, drink them with me. Out in the woods on the back of my Chevy. Got the key to a good night in the palm of our hands. All sponsored by aluminum cans. Yeah, sponsored by aluminum cans.
Did a great job. You worried about playing that?
Thanks, brother.
What's wrong with that? That was good.
Oh, I don't know. It just kind of happened. I was kind of let it happen. The bridge was a little wonky, but we got through it.
You give me one more?
What do you want?
Can you play Fill It Up?
Oh, yeah. Play that one every day.
I kind of figured you did.
Which I always play it like so much different on an acoustic guitar.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Before I start,
Sounds good.
Fun fact. This when I went into this is a great example of one of those songs that
Okay.
changed, right? So I went into the studio and I was like, dude, so just picture this song. It's got like this Super Mario thing, right? Like whatever I was doing,
okay.
right? And he's like, No, that's terrible. Let's give it some balls.
It's terrible.
I was like, all right, cool. There it is. I'm about to get a little loose. Get down at the watering hole. Got that suit and tie stressed to no. Another 40 from 40 line. I'm about to get a little high, and I ought to be. This tall glass sitting right beside me. It's empty, but it's time. Yeah, fill it up now, get the good times going, kick it back. Cold cans flowing, it's all night. We ain't slowing down. Fill it up now, get the beers on the table, ping pong ball, shots if you're able, it's on tonight, in the county road, county town. Yes, fill it up now, yeah. Fill it up now, yeah. I'm about to get a little lost, yeah, on the dance floor. Give these two left boots what they're searching for. Pair of high heels swinging so fine. I'm about to get a little gone, but I ain't out of here without you. And one more beer and one more kiss, yeah, alright. Yes, fill it up now, get the good times going, kick it back. Cold cans flowing, it's all night, and we ain't slowing down. Yes, fill it up now, get the beers on the table, ping pong ball, shots if you're able, it's on tonight, the county road, county town. Yes, fill it up now, yeah. Oh, fill it up now, yeah. Fill it up now, get the good times going, kick it back, cold cans flowing, it's on tonight, and we ain't slowing down. Yes, fill it up now, get the beers on the table, ping pong ball, shots if you're able, it's on tonight, in the county road, county town. It's on tonight, and we ain't slowing down. I'll fill it up now, yeah. I'll fill it up now, yeah.
Nice.
Nice, brother.
Great, man. Love that song.
It's a jam.
Love that song. And
It's
the
a
way
jam,
it
a jam, a
translates
jam.
really good to acoustic, though.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure in the beginning it would, but it does. It really translates good to acoustic.
It's jammy. Cool.
Sounds great, yeah. So, thank you, man.
Dude, thank you.
Yeah, this is
Good times, man.
Yeah, you didn't. You know, I don't want another
What
9 months before you come
what
back.
nobody saw is you shredding on this guitar.
Though. We took a little break. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's your show. We're here to feature you. You know, I mean, they don't want to hack like me playing guitar.
Look at this thing.
Trust me, it's beautiful.
Where's the
But again, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
See this guy on the road. See him everywhere in Pittsburgh. FrankVieira.com.
Thanks, brother.
God bless.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Very cool.
Nice, man. Jacked up tune.